breaking down the job ad. I've had a quick chat to a couple of people in the room, and we are people that are looking at getting jobs, are seeking to understand how to connect our CV to the application. What we're going to do is sort of connect you through and walk through some ads, use some examples, open to questions. For those people that are online, if you do have a question, you can just pop them in the chat. We'll try and keep it to where it's relevant at the time, or you can wait to the end. So the session is being recorded. Acknowledgement of country. I acknowledge the traditional owners of Macquarie University land and the Wadawurrung clan of the Darug Nation. We pay respects to the elders and knowledge holders who have and continue to share their wisdom and knowledge, nurturing and sustaining our environments and cultures and education. Okay, quickly running through our learning objectives. What are you going to learn here, or what am I going to try and share from our perspective? At the end of the workshop, you will understand what the purpose of the job ad. I feel like if you understand why they use it, it's probably going to help you connect to it a bit better. Also, how do you interpret what exactly are they looking for? Which parts of the ad are relevant to search? And how do I connect my employability? I feel sometimes people sort of get a bit lost and how to actually explain what their background is and how that connects to, whether it be through studies or whether it be working in retail or working in a hospitality environment. They don't see the value because they're thinking, it's my degree, it's not relevant. Well, actually, there's so many things that definitely are relevant. Just a little bit of background on me. My name is Mel Ashby, and I am the Macquarie Student Employment Student Coordinator. So I am here to support and hopefully share what I do know. My background, up until 12 months ago, I've spent a very long time in talent acquisition. I was the talent acquisition lead for Australia and New Zealand for Henkel, which is a global Forbes 500. And before that, I was the head of talent for Bunnings, New South Wales and ACT. So kind of know a little bit about that stuff. So yeah, I've seen it from the other side. So hopefully I can share a little bit of insight on what people like me see on the other side. Firstly, I just want to run through a little bit about what recruitment looks like, and this is how they see it from a recruiter's point of view. All applications come in. As you can see, there's a very large batch. I've highlighted CVs filtered by keywords because I think this is really poignant to our conversation today. So that's that first scan. Now, the first scan sometimes can be an actual sort of AI type scan. It depends on what type of system is used. But then there's talent acquisition shortlist from there, hiring manager review. They're going to look for their own keywords, of course, and then it goes through review of your social media. So that's a little bit about the process of how recruitment works. I guess next is, what is the purpose of a job advert? Now, I'm sure most people have read a job advert or two. It's not something that we kind of see. We even see it on TikTok now and everywhere. So it is an employer sourcing tool to attract candidates. In the advert is a description of what a successful candidate looks like. Now, this is what we're going to tap into. Noting that it is actually written by HR departments or recruiters and are designed to attract the best qualified candidate. The aim is to give prospective candidates a clear understanding of what the purpose of the role is. So you'll find when you read an ad, there's a bit of a promo about what the organisation is, and then there'll be a bit of a promo about why work for us. And then it'll actually move through to what they're looking for. So this is the part we're going to talk about today in how we tap into that. So it does give you an excellent insight into what the employer wants. A little video for you. So recently I met up with Nancy, who is the head of talent acquisition for Arnott's. Now, this lady sees a lot of CVs and hires from many, many, many different areas. So I thought it was kind of good to share.
When you think about being a recruiter, we're reading a lot of resumes. So when I have a block of text, that's really frustrating. I always start with a positive frame of mind. This next, resume I'm going to read is the one that we're going to move forward. And unless I can find that information, it's really difficult to progress someone. So there's some great tools out there that you can use to format a resume. I think formatting the resume, really, really important to highlight, and show me where it is that I need to be looking to gather the information that I need.
So she made a fabulous point around block of text, right? So super important to keep it succinct. Doesn't matter what you're applying for, but the language needs to connect back to what the job ad is. If somebody's just has this massive block of text of everything that they've done, recruiters have 6 seconds to read it, make note of it, and move on. They don't tend to read them for hours and hours. No matter what the role, they do tend to speak very quick and about how they go. I borrowed this to show you, this is actually an Indeed tool, but it actually discusses highlighting your skills, hard skills versus soft skills. Basically, we've got some keywords there like problem solving, critical thinking, adaptability. See, that, a lot of these skills are relevant to all jobs. And how you would turn around and maybe say, let's just think about problem solving, for example. You might be thinking that your job at a restaurant that you work in isn't, relevant. And it's like, well, hang on, but is there times where you problem solve? Is there times where you have a customer that comes to you and asks you, I'm late to this, I'm late to that, how do you fix this? So you have to problem solve. So yes, you are problem solving and you are using those soft skills. Hard skills are a little bit more around that technical stuff that you're most likely studying at uni, and hopefully that's what you're picking up along route. But going in and explaining that, a reference to the medical one, so maybe saying that you have had lab experience doing a particular project. If you're applying to a particular job that works in a laboratory environment, then that's research, medical research. You would make sure that you noted that you had that experience in your course. So definitely ways to highlight. Now launching a little bit into how we support you. So on Career Hub or Employability Connect, you will find the MQ Employability Skills Guide. This is actually a really fabulous tool to refer to from the point you can jump in and click on communication and review a little bit around communication, critical thinking. There's tools and tips and tricks of how to develop those skills. So we've identified 15. Look, there's so many skills out there. I'm sure they're the top 15, but okay. So recruitment. One of the facets of that recruitment process that I told you about was the applicant tracking system, or AI. So that's on Seek, it's on LinkedIn, it's on actual private systems that recruiters use within organisations. Now they're going to be the keywords that the actual hiring manager said, no, it's super important. I have somebody, we'll go take this time and use the examples, SAP. Now, many customer service roles use SAP, right? So it should be on your CV if you've worked in a customer service role that uses it. So they will literally type in those keywords and they will expect all those CVs. So if there's 1,000 CVs, only the ones that filter to the top will be the ones with relevant words that they've used in the applicant tracking system. Another way to build, just referring back to Employability Connect, if you have a look online, we also offer CV 360 and also the interview skills stuff. So great way to test your CV and see whether it stands up. I'd be caution here because I feel like sometimes we get a little overzealous. We get all that information about putting keywords. Make sure those keywords are in the right location, so the relevant roles or what you're trying to actually project. Use spelling, numbers, abbreviations correctly. Be really, really careful. I always recommend if you use an abbreviation, make sure you expand it. And you can put the abbreviation in there so that you understand that it's usually used, but I would always expand it. I think acronyms sometimes can be relevant to different industries. There might be different parts of industry that it works and the other part it doesn't, or they can be company relevant. So yeah, you do have to be really careful with your acronyms. Write a resume both for the ATS system, so using those keywords that we're going to talk about in the actual ad, but also think of the person reading it. So this is where grammar kicks in. Get somebody to reread it out loud to you is my trick, because if they can't read it and they keep stumbling over it, you know it's not flowing so well. So maybe you need to look at that. Okay, essentials. Prove your interest in the sector or the role with a clear focus. One of the things I love on a CV up top is very much a career objective that talks about the role. I have read some crazy ones where it's been a marketing job and they've, written, my career objective is to become an engineer. That obviously applied to the wrong role, so make sure you look at this for every single job. Your career objective should be one of those points that is very flexible on your CV. I think it's really important to look at what the career is offering. So referring back to the actual job ad is a good spot to start this and say, well, are they looking to foster me into leadership? Are they looking to foster me into a specialist division? This is where you should be going into that. So another good thing about this particular thing with essentials is any relevant volunteer experience and side projects. So side projects, you guys do lots of projects at uni. So I do think that there would be projects that would be relevant when you're applying for a graduate or even internship, your PACE unit. I think that these things need to be highlighted, that the actual project, just use a project title. You could expand it and say, what the outcome was or whether it was an achievement. Maybe you've won an award of some sort. Maybe you're a surf lifesaver and you've been diligently, volunteering on the beach for the last 8 years. That's got to look good because, especially again, back to the medical field, those guys have got basic medical training and know how to, save lives and to the point when somebody else gets there to help. Remember, employers are inundated with applications and prefer candidates that show an interest in them, and make sure that you say that. I think that sort of interest phase should very much so be in your cover letter. However, that nowadays there's so many situations where they say, cover letter not required. So if that is the case, that interest piece where you're interested in that particular industry or that particular company, I would put that in your objective, your career objective. I would link it that way. I would still definitely say it and connect, but just keep it short, keep it succinct. Anything over a sort of 2-3 sentence paragraph is a bit too much. Okay, now we're going to launch into some common things that I see in ads. And I thought it would be a great way to sort of go, okay, so these are the things that I see in an advert. How do I answer this? A passion to work in, keen interest in, enthusiastic, hard-working. So how do I use language to connect to those things, to say, yep, that's me, I want to choose me, pick me. So going through, I dedicated myself to, it might have been a volunteer experience, persisted in. So maybe there was something, a particular project that was challenging, pursued, volunteered, sought out opportunities. Stressing the result of your hard work, exceeds targets, surpassed expectations. So lots of great words there. Let's move on to the next one. Good academic background, high calibre graduate. Make your education section prominent. Draw attention to awards, honours, peer leadership. Again, you work integrated learning. One of the interviews that I did as I was exiting Henkel was actually for a supply chain intern. It would lead to quite a senior role once the person had completed. And it was really interesting. Each one of his examples he used was actually part of his PACE unit. I have to say I loved it. The fact that he actually related it back to something that I could understand, and I could see the hiring manager going, oh, he's had a little taste of this, that's great. He may not be an expert, we're not expecting him to be an expert, he's a graduate. But he was able to use that experience as credibility, I guess, of knowledge, yeah? So using the terminology such as consistently receive top marks, experience is essential, proven record in, prioritise, things like that. So there's some more words to link that back. Self-starter, proactive. I see that one. I don't know about you. I see this one on nearly every ad. Initiated, launched, spearheaded, pioneered. Draw attention to occasions where you show leadership or vision. That could be just working in a retail role where maybe you were actually responsible for the open and close of the business. There's lots of different, using the words but then having the examples to back them up is going to be super important to have that integrity in the conversation. Excellent attention to detail, communication skills. Communication skills don't just mean that you can stand up in front of a crowd and talk on a video. They also mean proofreading, editing. So again, proofreading, check that your grammar's okay, check that your spelling's there. Or my favourite, make sure your phone number's correct. Very hard to contact a candidate if they've lost a digit off the end of their phone number, and you would be shocked at how often that happens. I don't know how it happens so often, but it does. So in presenting information, maybe you've done things with your student society that, you get up and present or you arrange things, all of that stuff. So using words such as summarised, repackaged or reformatted to show your ability and convey a message to different audiences. Organised, ability to juggle multiple projects and work with minimum supervision. This one's kind of again with that initiative piece, right? So examples from your education and work experience to show your ability to manage workload. I think, this is another one where if somebody's studying and they've also got another job and maybe they volunteer, I have to say, sure, it says to me that they can juggle life, and I'm usually pretty impressed. Use the term balance the demands of. So in your cover letter or on your CV, handled numerous projects simultaneously, allocated X resources to, entrusted with. Entrusted with is a great one. So that one you could be talking about your retail job, your hospitality job. There's lots of different avenues that you would be entrusted with. Thrive under pressure, fast-paced, competitive environment. What is an employer looking for in this situation? They actually want to know they can juggle, but you can also juggle well. Employer wants reassurance that you won't panic under stress, that they're looking for a high performance in difficult environments. So yeah, so definitely how do they work that out? Turning around and expressing something on your CV that you use, your project was completed in limited time or with limited resources, things like that. You may not use that in an expanded version on your CV, might be able to use it in your cover letter. Depends on how big the project is and how much. You still need to keep it succinct. As soon as there's too much information, just kind of give them a taste on your CV, looking and hoping to get that interview so that you can expand on it and give them more information. Okay, let's practice breaking down the job ad. Now I've already shared you the video from Nancy. And what I thought I would do is just quickly show you, Nancy is currently recruiting the Arnott's graduate program for 2023. Now, all different roles, all from work health and safety, they're hiring physiotherapists right through to finance, marketing people, all sorts of roles. Click on that and have a little look. It's definitely worth a look. Okay, so let's move through. This is what the job ad looks like. Yeah, wowzers, right? It's a lot of information there, right? Then Sadia's going to do this cool clicking thing that Alex created. I'm going to show you the bit of highlights that we're actually looking, as we can see our little, super cool guys, you're getting a bit tech, look at that. So that's the part we're looking at to connect. We don't need to connect the whole ad. Don't take the whole ad in. Let's go through. Okay, so let's have a look at the parts we're going to try and address. I've kind of plucked it out and I've put it separate. So, leading from the front, being restless to hold yourself at a high standard, being energised by accountability and role modelling agility to address challenges. Pretty wordy, right? Growing talent, adopting a growth mindset, coaching and developing others and actively seeking out feedback to build self-awareness, win the right way. Respectfully challenges and champions ideas, agile approach to drive speed of decision making and disrupts to drive progressive change to become the best. Wow, so that's what we're going to look at addressing. So I figured that we use this example because it's pretty up there from a working point of view. Let's move to the first one, leading from the front. How would I turn around and connect that Uni project, I led the stock take team. Maybe I'm the bar manager in hospitality. I'm a store manager working in a retail environment. They're all great examples of leading from the front, right? Being restless to hold yourself to high standard. Okay, this is where we go back to that conversation about attention to detail. Committed to volunteering, achievements and awards. Being energised by accountability. Achieve a goal, meet targets or KPIs, project completed, initiate process change. So all of those are, you like to own what you're doing, and you like to be goal orientated. Role modelling agility to address challenges, enjoy new initiatives, teamwork, collaboration, flexibility, and can think outside the box. Problem solving. Any question on any of those? Do they all make sense? Have you all got an example? Can you think of something that will give you that first one? Can we just flick back to leading from the front? Thank you. Got an example of where you could lead from the front? Could have been a project at uni, right? And you might have turned around and said, well, okay, hang on, I don't think we're all going in the same, I have this expression, it's called herding cats. You might be that person that goes, all right, okay, everybody let's get back to the objective here. And I led my project. And be aware, again, if you put that in your CV, you then will go through to your interview phase, make sure you've got your example. So make sure that it all connects and flows. Growing talent. I love this one. Growth mindset. So you guys actually all have that growth mindset. You're here, you're learning, you're students, you're obviously super keen to grow, and you've already got it. But how do we turn around and express it? Show an eagerness to be independently learn. Maybe do LinkedIn courses. One of the interviews that I did not long ago, and he gave me some great tips on really cool podcasts. He was a person that whenever he sat in the traffic or on the bus, he listened to podcasts. And yeah, some of them were really, really good and very relevant to the industry that was of his passion. So being able to answer in an interview or even put it on a resume and say, well, I actually love doing LinkedIn courses. Actually, one of our team does that. Sina, who is pretty much one of the faces of MQSE, he frequently does LinkedIn courses for fun, and he puts them onto his LinkedIn profile because you get the little accreditation every time. They might be things on team leadership, they might be things on all sorts of stuff. There's personal ones. I don't think it matters what the courses are, it's just that you love to learn and showing a passion to learn. So I think those sorts of things are really great. And you can link them between LinkedIn, your resume, across both. Coaching and developing others. So maybe you're a sports coach, maybe you're an academic tutor, maybe you're supporting HSC students at the moment. Who knows, they're all going into a tough time right now. Onboarding new team and a job. Maybe you were the more senior person in a work environment and you helped onboard somebody. Student society or group or lead, another fabulous one where you got out there and inspired others to do stuff. So actively seeking out feedback to build self-awareness. Identify value of mentorship. So seeking out experiences and internships. I think thinking about that in the past, one of my questions in an interview has been, you've chosen this particular career path. Can you tell me what inspired you to be here? Automatically, what am I looking for really? Actually, that somebody, I did this project, I thought it was amazing, or I went to this talk and that person turned around and inspired me to think about that particular career path. I think one of the main ones that I always got involved in working for Henkel and FMCGs was in marketing. People will go into marketing, every single CV comes through, I want to work in social media. But category analyst is a major area and a very, very well paid area because it's data analytics, right? And being able to work out consumer movements and what trends, etc., how to grow products. So when I asked, apparently this person had somebody who worked in category and decided, and I said, oh, don't want to do brand management like everybody else. He said, no, I love that and I love the creative side of it, but I'm really good with numbers. So I kind of got influenced by this other person and I thought, well, they found themselves a mentor, didn't they? And they valued that conversation. So it was a positive in that particular scenario. Internships. Next one. Win the right way. I think this is a little bit of a cultural one. I think it's on there as trying to attract a certain type of culture. Respectfully challenges and champions ideas, so creativity. So using creativity, whether it be in your CV or as an example, develop new concept, process change. Process change is one of the, I would say, one of the number one interview questions. So once it gets to that point, is that asking somebody, have you ever initiated change? Did that person think outside the box? So I think you can actually show that on your CV too. I think that you can turn around and put an achievement that, fine-tuned change. And that doesn't have to be in a job, it can be in a university project again, or some other experience, whether it be volunteer. Agile approach to drive speed of decision making. That's very goal orientated. You like to see the end and maybe proactive to get there. Disrupts to drive progressive change to become the best. So not shy in presenting a new day, challenge the status quo. So I do think that's also one you can put on your CV, but it's going to be in your objectives, it's going to be in some of your experience side. So Seek and Indeed did a bit of research to see what are the top 10 skills that they are saying to include on your CV right now. And that this is where they're at. So active listening, communication, customer service, computer skills, obviously detail what computer skills, interpersonal skills, leadership, management skills, problem solving, time management and transferable skills. Anybody got any questions about those? Does anyone want me to go into any more detail? Okay, well it looks like we're coming to the close, but this workshop, as we've discussed, is reading through a job advert and pulling out those parts of the job ad that actually matter and what you need to address. Connecting your experiences, volunteer or paid, employable skills to highlighting your ability for the job. Now the time to reflect. Now, any questions, Alex? This is the MQSE team, so it's not just me. We've got Sadia over here, who's in control. We've got Alex over there, who's supporting from a career administrating point of view. Sina, who is one of our talent advisors, and also Erica, who dovetails into my role as student employment coordinator. That's a little bit about us. Is there any questions? Has anybody got a job ad they've looked at lately and thought, what do they want? No?
I've looked at a lot of jobs,
You probably have.
but I can see all of them are pretty clear.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, good. Have you looked at any challenging job ads lately?
Yeah.
You have?
I was interested in it.
What type of roles are you applying for?
I've just finished my CPA studies, so I'm interested in accountancy.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've been applying, where have you been looking first? Let's start there.
Sick.com.
Okay. Have you looked on Employability Connect?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you have to.
This why I ended up this.
Yeah, how you came, okay, great.
Yeah, it's
okay.
very useful.
And do you feel that this information was helpful?
Yeah, it's fantastic, especially the keywords to use in our resume. I never thought of it. So that will capture at least maybe first
Someone's
question.
attention.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's kind of understanding, isn't it? That's the QR code. I don't know if everybody is following, obviously, Employability Connect, but if you scan that QR code, you can link through to our Facebook page. I don't know whether who's on there or who's not. I think there's 1,000+ people on there. The LinkedIn group, if you are set up on LinkedIn, another really great area to look. So we often share on there all of the graduate roles that come in, the employer partners. We get a lot of employer partners, especially at the moment. It's that time of year. So basically they'll reach out and they'll offer, say, look, we're looking for Macquarie students, we would like to, so we share a lot of those roles on there. We also share great tips and tricks on the Facebook page. So the events like today and the up and coming events with the Employable You series, but it's a really good spot just you can scroll and past and then what bits you know, don't already, but the bits you don't, you can zoom in, so it's quite good. And then obviously building skills, the career zone is another area to have a bit of a look at.
Mel, we've got a question from the chat. It's just regarding awards or peer leadership that someone would have gotten in the past. They're asking how far back would they recommend going?
Yeah, look, that one's an interesting. Look, I think I would stick to probably HSE. I feel like I would stick to HSE level and then up. It depends, how far this person's through. If they're somebody who's a returning mature age student, they wouldn't go all the way back to their HSE. That would be ridiculous. And I would not put on what I did in my HSE, not relevant. But for those students that are sort of in that 5-year post-HSE, if they did something fabulous in HSE, interesting when I was recruiting the brand manager intern type person for Schwarzkopf, which is one of the Henkel companies, I went all the way back to the fact that she had, amongst everybody else, that particular lady had done her gold Duke of Ed. And I have to say it took tenacity, and I was just super impressed. And because I had all these candidates lined up that were same. And I went, we need to pick something out that's a little bit different and goes above and beyond. She'd done a volunteer program, I can't remember where now, it was quite a while back, but it was that gold Duke of Ed that got her across the line. She got called in for interview with the others, and somehow that resonated with the hiring manager. They I don't know whether they'd done it or how they knew about it, but it meant a lot to them, as she was able to articulate the challenges that she experienced in it. From a project point of view of developing, they've got a volunteer section of it. It was highly valued, and she would have been 4 years out from a high school point of view. Yeah, so I think within the last 5 years is reasonable, as long as it's relevant. Yeah, I think if you're applying for a particular role that is in medical field and you got into Art Express, I don't know if that would be a great connection. I don't think I'd put that on there. I'm not saying it's not a great thing to have. It is great. And if I was doing marketing internship and I got into Art Express, it said to me, I'm quite creative. Yeah, absolutely. I can see that connection. Depends what you're actually applying for. Cool. We got any other questions? There's 12 people chatting.
Not just yet, no.
Okay. How did we go, Tom? That's one super fast. All right then. I think that, look, this is MQSE, so a little bit about what we do. I think it's great to share what we're here for. We're funded by the university. We are kind of a pivotal point position between the employers and you guys. We're there to offer all paid opportunities. Anything that comes under MQSE, we don't take anything that's unpaid, it's all paid. Casual, part-time, full-time, contract roles. At the moment we've got lots of summer internships. There's all different roles on there to build your employability and have something cool to put on your CV. So that's what we're sort of there for. So also along the path we gain coaching and experience in tailoring cover letters, CVs and interview. So you've got a couple of avenues where if you feel like you're not hitting the mark, and if you did want to have a chat about your job ads, maybe reach out and we'll have a look at from a career consult point of view, because it'd be great to see what you're applying for and how best to pitch at it. But hopefully this today helps, and then we'd be happy to support you further. But become confident in what you offer an employer. So, you get to that interview stage. If you've never done it before, it's pretty daunting. Like the first time you walk in, even if they're the nicest talent acquisition person or recruiter, you still feel like, I've got to put my best foot forward. I've got this one shot, and sometimes it's, half an hour to 30 to 45 minutes and it's over. So come along, we can do practice interviews. We have the Interview 360 module, which you can do a bit of practice on if you want to do it at midnight. Obviously it's there on demand. Explore and develop your career plan with the careers team. So that's, with regards to having somebody to have a chat with, you can book in for a consult, run through your ideas and what you're thinking, and they might give you more ideas. They're only going to build on your knowledge. Mentoring through the recruitment process will walk with you. So if you're a little bit concerned that you've had this really great bash at adjusting your CV to match a particular job ad, but you really would like to run it past somebody, sometimes just reaching out to one of us or in our the careers team or even in the MQSE team, if it's one of our MQSE roles, we probably have heard the conversation of what the hiring manager is actually looking for and what's important to them. So reach out to us. We'll happily share, yeah, I think that's great, but this one here is more important. What can we expand in this? So we might be able to give you extra guidance and mentoring through that recruitment process.
We've got another question in the chat from Jordan this time. It's concerning resumes and the top 10 skills that you mentioned earlier. He's just asking how he should represent them on a resume.
Come again to the whole question?
So it's those skills there,
Yeah,
how
I'll back
would you
you, yeah.
recommend showing them on a resume?
I think they need to be linked to your job ad. I think they actually, again, back in, so maybe, for example, it's in your, it would actually be in some of your employability skills, so it'd be back into where maybe you've done working at Woolworths as a checkout person. You still have to actively listen. Like, let's just be really simple here. Communication. Maybe you answered the phone at a restaurant and you took orders for food. Communication. You need to turn around and be able to listen to what the person's saying and writing it down. So if I had, I worked at whatever restaurant, and at the bottom of my head, strong communication, sound problem solving, customer centric. They are totally relevant to working in a restaurant. I can't see that it's about integrity. You can't turn around and put things, like I don't know about computer skills if working in a restaurant, maybe they might use a particular software, might use SAP, I don't know. So interpersonal skills, customer centric says that. So I think that it's got to be relevant to either a project, a volunteer experience, or some form of work experience. Can't just randomly I'm a really active listener. That kind of doesn't work. You might be, but I don't think you've got to make sure thinking of examples, because if it does get past the AI scan, it's still going to be read by a hiring manager, it's still going to be read by a recruiter. And then if you get to an interview, you can be sure somebody's going to pick that CV up and say, says that you've got great communication skills. Give me an example of when you've done that. That's called STAR technique. They use it all the time and they frequently use it straight off the resume. Yeah, so any other questions there?
No, nothing right now.
Okay. Where are we at? Sadia, we're at the end? Yep. On the final page. So if you're not in our Facebook group, I reckon that should be your first port of call. I think LinkedIn, if you're there, if you've got your LinkedIn profile looking awesome. I do find that different people sit in different spaces, so you're more undergraduates that are not actively out there creating a professional profile yet, they sit in the Facebook page, but we do share very, very similar information across both. Anybody got any other questions? Well, I hope you have found it better. Lots of food for thought? Yes? Awesome. Okay. Thanks, guys.